In the most remote part of Antarctica, a team of scientists has discovered something that defies all human understanding. Station Alba, a climatological research facility, becomes the setting for a horror no one could have anticipated. The camera shows images of the station, surrounded by an infinite white landscape, while the wind howls and shadows seem to move at the edges of the screen. The team consists of 6 people. Dr. Elena Voss, linguist and expert in non-human communication. Dr. Marcus Reed, theoretical physicist obsessed with inexplicable phenomena. Dr. Clara Morales, biologist specializing in extremophiles. Engineer Alexei Petrov, in charge of drilling operations. Dr. Samuel Hayes, team physician and psychologist. Lieutenant Laura Vega, security and survival officer. The discovery of the structure buried beneath the ice, nicknamed the Echo, is the starting point. The structure emits a low-frequency sound, almost imperceptible, which the instruments detect but humans only feel as an uncomfortable vibration in their chests. Elena begins to have strange dreams, in which she hears a whisper that does not come from any known language, but seems to be trying to communicate with her. These dreams become more intense and vivid as they get closer to the structure. The team manages to drill through the ice and access the structure. The camera shows the interior, a circular room with smooth, black walls that absorb light, as if made of a material that defies human comprehension. In the center, there is an object that appears to be an opaque crystal, but it emits a constant vibration. As they study it, inexplicable phenomena begin to occur. Instruments fail, time seems to dilate, and Elena's dreams become more intense. She begins to translate fragments of the whisper, which speaks of a void that consumes all and entities that exist between the folds of reality. One night, Marcus disappears. He is found hours later, standing in front of the crystal, murmuring in an unknown language. When they try to pull him away from the chamber, he panics and screams, "They are here. We cannot escape," before collapsing. From that moment on, the team begins to experience collective hallucinations. They see shadows moving at the edges of their vision, hear footsteps in empty hallways, and feel a presence watching them. Clara, the biologist, starts claiming she has seen strange creatures in the ice, forms that should not exist. Elena discovers that the crystal is a kind of gateway or echo of something much larger, an entity that exists outside of time and space and has been trying to communicate with them. But every time they try to move away from the structure, something stops them. Snowstorms force them to take shelter, supplies disappear, and the station begins to deteriorate inexplicably. The team realizes they are trapped not by natural forces, but by something using them to keep the gateway open. Lieutenant Vega tries to maintain order, but even she begins to lose her sanity. Samuel, the doctor, suffers a mental breakdown after seeing Marcus repeat phrases in the unknown language, as if possessed. Clara disappears during an expedition outside, and when they find her, her body is frozen, but her face shows an expression of absolute terror. Elena and Alexei are the only ones who remain relatively sane, but even they begin to question their own reality. In a desperate attempt to close the connection, Elena decides to communicate directly with the entity through the crystal. Using a sound device, she plays the frequency she has been translating. The crystal activates, and the screen fills with a blinding light. Elena feels her mind invaded by an alien consciousness, which shows her visions of an infinite and empty universe, where indescribable creatures float in the darkness, waiting to devour everything that exists. The entity reveals that the crystal is only an echo of its true form and that its presence in the station is only an infinitesimal fraction of its being. The team tries to destroy the crystal, but it is too late. The entity begins to manifest physically, distorting reality around them. Marcus, now unrecognizable, becomes a kind of spokesperson for the entity, repeating phrases in the unknown language as his body disintegrates into shadows. Alexei attempts to use explosives to seal the chamber, but he is consumed by a darkness that seems to have a life of its own. Elena and Vega are the only ones left, but Vega succumbs to madness and takes her own life before the entity can reach her. Elena, in a final act of desperation, activates the explosives they had brought for geological samples, destroying the station and sealing the chamber under tons of ice. The screen fills with an explosion of light and sound, followed by absolute silence. The camera shows the remains of the station, now buried under the ice, as the wind howls in the distance. The story ends with a rescue team arriving weeks later. They find the station in ruins and, among the debris, Elena's journal. The last entry reads, "We cannot escape." The echo is not just a warning, it is an invitation. They are here and they always have been. The void calls to us and soon, we will all answer. As the rescue team leaves the area, one of them hears a whisper in the wind, a low frequency they cannot identify. The camera pulls back, showing the vast and desolate Antarctic landscape, while the whisper grows louder, suggesting that the entity is still there, waiting. During the final credits, the low-frequency sound grows increasingly intense until the screen fades to black.